The massive doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a deep sound that made Hyunwoo's chest vibrate. He walked slowly into the huge room, his black dress shoes clicking on the smooth metal floor. Behind him, Captain Dalsu followed in his best military uniform, the medals on his chest catching the bright lights above. Hyunwoo had been Earth's ambassador for 3 years now. He had seen many strange things in that time, but today felt different. Today felt dangerous. The chamber was enormous. It could hold 1,000 beings easily. The walls curved up and up until they disappeared in shadows. Around the room, beings from dozens of different worlds sat in their special chairs. Some breathed different air, so they wore masks. Others needed different gravity, so they floated in bubbles of energy. At the center of it all sat the High Chancellor. His name was Morthek, and he was a Vextari. His body looked like it was made of blue crystal, tall and thin. When he moved, light bounced off him in strange ways. His eyes were like black holes, deep and cold. Hyunwoo stopped at the speaking platform in the center of the room. He put his hands on the smooth surface and looked up at Morthek. The alien was at least 3 times taller than any human. Even sitting down, he looked down at Hyunwoo like a giant looking at an ant. "Ambassador Hyunwoo of Earth," Morthek said. His voice came through machines that changed his alien words into human language. But something was lost in the change. The voice sounded empty, without feeling. "You stand before the Galactic Council today to hear our decision about your species." Hyunwoo felt his heart beat faster. For months, the Council had been studying humanity. They had sent ships to watch Earth. They had read human books, watched human movies, studied human history. They wanted to understand what humans were like. "We have watched your people for some time now," Morthek continued. His crystal fingers moved as he spoke, making small sounds like wind chimes. "We have seen your wars. We have seen your violence. We have seen how you treat each other and how you treat your world." Around the chamber, other aliens nodded or made sounds of agreement. A being that looked like a giant insect clicked its claws together. Another one, covered in scales, hissed softly. Hyunwoo wanted to speak, but he knew he had to wait. "The Council had rules. Very strict rules. Your species has shown that it cannot control itself," Morthek said. "You fight wars over small pieces of land. You pollute your air and water. You cannot even agree on simple things like how to share food or medicine." The words hit Hyunwoo like punches. He knew there was truth in them. Humans did fight. Humans did make mistakes. But they also did beautiful things. They made art and music. They helped each other. They explored and learned and dreamed. "Because of this," Morthek continued, "the Galactic Council has decided that humanity is not ready to govern itself." The chamber became very quiet. Even the humming of the machines seemed to stop. "What does that mean?" Hyunwoo asked. His voice sounded small in the huge room. Morthek's black eyes seemed to grow darker.
"It means that from now on, the Galactic Council will make decisions for Earth. We will control your governments.
We will control your military. We will control your expansion into space." Hyunwoo felt cold. Behind him, he heard Dalsu take a sharp breath. "You cannot be serious," Hyunwoo said. "We are completely serious," Morthek replied. "Your species will be placed under our protection. We will teach you how to be civilized. We will show you how to live in peace, and if we refuse?" Hyunwoo asked. Morthek was quiet for a long moment. Around the chamber, the aliens watched and waited. "If you refuse," Morthek finally said, "we will take corrective action. We have done this before with other species who could not see the wisdom in our guidance." Hyunwoo felt anger growing in his chest. "You mean you will attack us?" "We mean we will do what is necessary to bring peace to your world," Morthek said. "Our fleets are already moving toward your solar system. They will arrive in 3 days. You have until then to give us your answer." The chamber filled with the sounds of alien voices. Some seemed excited. Others seemed bored, like this was something they had seen many times before. Hyunwoo looked around the room. These beings came from worlds across the galaxy. Some of their civilizations were millions of years old. Earth was young compared to them. Humanity had only been traveling in space for a few hundred years. But something burned in Hyunwoo's chest. Something that would not accept this. "We will need time to discuss this with our leaders," he said. "Of course," Morthek said. 3 days should be enough time for your leaders to see the wisdom in our decision. And if our answer is no," Morthek's crystal body seemed to grow brighter, "then you will learn why the Galactic Council has brought peace to this galaxy for so long." The meeting was over. Hyunwoo and Dalsu walked out of the chamber in silence. Their ship was waiting for them in the station's docking bay. It was small compared to the alien ships around it. Everything about it looked weak and primitive. As they walked to their ship, Dalsu finally spoke. "They really think they can just take over Earth?" "They do not think it," Hyunwoo replied. "They know it. Look around us, Dalsu. Look at their ships. Look at their technology. What do we have that could stop them?" Dalsu was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "We have something they do not understand." "What is that?" "We have human stubbornness." On their ship, Hyunwoo sent a message back to Earth. It was encrypted with the best codes humanity had. But he knew the aliens could probably read it anyway. Their technology was just too advanced. The message was simple. Council demands surrender. 3 days to respond. Fleet approaching. As their ship left the council station, Hyunwoo looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien warships were heading toward Earth. Ships with weapons that could destroy cities from space. Ships with shields that could stop anything humans could throw at them. But something else was out there too. Something the council did not know about. In the asteroid belt around Earth's sun, there was a research station. Officially, it was just studying space rocks. But Hyunwoo knew better. He knew what was really hidden there. He also knew that if the aliens thought humans would just give up, they were about to learn something new about humanity. The trip back to Earth would take 2 days. That would give the humans 1 day to prepare. 1 day to decide if they would kneel or fight. Hyunwoo looked at his reflection in the ship's window. Behind him, he could see Dalsu working at the communication station, sending coded messages to Earth's military. "Let them come," Hyunwoo whispered to himself. "Let them see what happens when you corner a human." He did not know about the ancient things sleeping in the asteroid belt. He did not know about the scientists who had been waiting for this day. He did not know that humanity's real strength was not in their ships or weapons, but he was about to find out. The countdown had begun. 3 days until the Galactic Council learned that some species should not be caged. Deep in the asteroid belt, far from Earth and hidden from alien eyes, Station Aegis 7 spun slowly in the darkness. From the outside, it looked like a simple research station. Solar panels caught sunlight. Communication dishes pointed toward Earth. Everything looked normal and boring. But inside the station, Dr. Minho ran through corridors that hummed with secret power. His white lab coat flew behind him as he rushed toward the main laboratory. The message from Earth had been clear. The aliens were coming. And humanity had 3 days to decide its fate. Minho had been waiting for this message for 20 years. He burst through the laboratory doors and saw his team already working. Engineer Soo-jin sat at a control panel covered in lights and screens. Her fingers moved quickly over buttons and switches that controlled things no other human had ever seen. "Status report," Minho said, trying to catch his breath. "The neural interface is responding to our activation signals," Soo-jin said without looking up from her work. "But sir, we have never tested this at full power. The energy we need, it is more than our station can produce." Minho walked to the main viewing screen. Through the thick glass, he could see into the station's biggest secret. The room beyond was huge, carved out of a giant asteroid, and floating in the center of that room was something that should not exist. It looked like part of a spaceship, but it was made from materials that seemed to bend light around them. The surface was black, but not the black of paint or metal. It was the black of deep space itself. Strange symbols covered its hull, symbols that seemed to move when you looked at them directly. This was all that remained of an alien ship that had crashed on Earth's moon 50 years ago. The ship had been destroyed, but this piece had survived. Inside it was something even more impossible, a working alien mind. "Sir," said another team member, a young scientist named Jae-ho, "we are getting response signals from the core. It knows something is happening." Minho nodded. For 20 years, teams of Earth's best scientists had studied this artifact. They had learned to communicate with the artificial mind inside it. They had learned its history, and they had learned why it was so important. The mind called itself Nemesis. It had been built by a species called the Inheritors, beings who had ruled a part of the galaxy long ago. The Galactic Council had destroyed them, just like they wanted to destroy human independence now. But before the Inheritors died, they had built Nemesis as their revenge. It was not just a weapon, it was a test. If another species ever proved they were worthy, if they showed they would not bow to the Council's control, Nemesis would awaken. "Begin the activation sequence," Minho ordered. Sujin's hand stopped moving. Sir, are you sure? Once we start this, we cannot stop it. And we still do not know what will happen. Minho looked at the screens showing space around Earth. Already his instruments could detect the Council fleet approaching. Hundreds of ships, each one more powerful than anything humanity had ever built. What choice do we have? He asked. Our conventional weapons cannot stop them. Our ships are too weak. Our shields are too primitive. This is humanity's only chance. He opened a communication channel to Earth. Admiral Taekyung's face appeared on the screen. The Admiral looked tired and worried. Minho, Taekyung said. Please tell me you have good news. I have news, Minho replied. Whether it is good or bad, we will find out together. Minho explained what they were about to do. As he spoke, he could see the Admiral's face change from worry to fear to something that might have been hope. An alien artificial intelligence? Taekyung asked. And you think it will help us? It was built to fight the Galactic Council, Minho said. Its creators died rather than submit to Council rule. I think it will understand what we are facing. And if it decides we are not worthy, if it sees us as just another primitive species, Minho was quiet for a moment. Then we die. But we die as free humans, not as Council slaves. Taekyung nodded slowly. Do it. Minho turned back to his team. Sujin, begin the neural interface activation. Jae-ho, monitor the power systems. Everyone else, be ready for anything. Sujin's fingers flew over her controls. Around the laboratory, machines began to hum with increasing power. Lights flickered as massive amounts of energy flowed toward the artifact. In the observation chamber, the alien construct began to change. The symbols on its surface started to glow with soft blue light. The black material seemed to ripple like water. Power at 30%, Jae-ho reported. All systems stable. 50%, he said a moment later. I am reading massive energy fluctuations from the artifact. 70%. Sir, the neural pathways are opening. Something is waking up in there. Minho watched the construct through the viewing window. The blue light was getting brighter, and in that light he could see shapes moving. Not physical shapes, but something else. Thoughts, maybe, memories. 90%, Jae-ho called out. His voice was tight with tension. 100%. Full activation achieved. For a moment, nothing happened. The laboratory was quiet except for the humming of machines. Even that seemed to fade away. Then the construct pulsed once with brilliant light and Minho felt something touch his mind. It was vast. Older than human civilization, filled with knowledge that humanity had never dreamed of, and underneath it all was a burning anger that had waited a very long time for release. Who dares wake the weapon of the inheritors? The voice spoke directly into Minho's thoughts, but somehow everyone in the laboratory could hear it. I am Dr. Minho of the human species, he said aloud. We need your help, humans. The voice seemed to taste the word. I have watched your species for 50 of your years. I have seen your wars, your conflicts, your struggles. Why should the weapon of the inheritors care about your fate? Because the Galactic Council wants to enslave us, Minho said. Just like they enslaved your creators. The construct pulsed again, brighter this time. Through the laboratory, screens flickered as Nemesis accessed the station's computers. In seconds, it absorbed all of human history, all of human knowledge. Interesting, the voice said after a long pause. Your species shows promise. You fight against impossible odds. You refuse to surrender your freedom even when defeat seems certain. Yes, you are very much like the inheritors. Will you help us? Minho asked. I was built for one purpose, Nemesis replied. To destroy those who would chain the worthy. The Council fleets approach your world expecting easy victory. They remember the inheritors, but they have forgotten to fear us. Around the laboratory, alarms began to sound. On the screens, Minho could see something impossible happening. In the deep space around the asteroid, reality itself seemed to be bending. What is happening? Sujin asked, her voice full of wonder and fear. I am calling my body, Nemesis answered. For 50 years it has waited in the dark between stars. Now it comes home. Through the viewing window, Minho watched as the construct began to fade. Not disappearing, but becoming something else. Pure energy, pure thought ready to reunite with its true form. Tell your admiral to prepare his fleet, Nemesis said, its voice already growing distant. They are about to learn what happens when humans refuse to kneel, and the galaxy will remember why the inheritors were feared. The laboratory shook as something massive moved through space nearby. On the external cameras, Minho caught a glimpse of something enormous passing between the asteroids. Something that absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Nemesis was free, and the Galactic Council was about to discover that humanity had just awakened something they thought they had destroyed long ago. The countdown continued. 2 days until the Council fleet arrived. But now humanity would not face them alone. Captain Jinneh stood on the bridge of the Earth frigate Resilience, staring at her sensor screens in disbelief. For the past hour, her instruments had been showing impossible readings from the asteroid belt, energy signatures that made no sense. Gravity distortions that should not exist, Captain, her sensor officer called out. Something is coming toward us. Something big. Jinneh looked at the main screen. At first she saw nothing but empty space and distant stars. Then the stars began to disappear. Not fade away, but simply vanish as something darker than space itself moved between them and her ship. Sweet Mother of Earth, whispered her weapons officer, a young man named Dongmin. What is that thing? The shape that emerged from the darkness was beyond anything Jinneh had ever seen. It was huge, longer than a city, but it moved through space like a living creature. Its hull was not metal or ceramic, but something that seemed to eat light itself. Along its sides, patterns of energy flowed like veins carrying alien blood. Control, this is Captain Jinneh of the Resilience, she said into her communicator, her voice barely steady. Are you seeing this? We see it, Captain, came the reply from Admiral Tae-kyung aboard the orbital defense platform above Earth. All ships, maintain distance. Do not engage unless fired upon. Jinneh watched as the massive ship glided past her frigate. It was so close she could see details on its hull, symbols that hurt to look at directly, weapon ports that seemed to lead into infinite darkness, and along its spine a series of structures that pulsed with soft blue light. Captain, her communications officer said in a shaky voice, I am receiving a transmission, but it is not coming through our radios. What do you mean? It is speaking directly into my mind. Jinneh felt it then. A presence touching her thoughts, ancient beyond measure, vast beyond understanding, and filled with a cold anger that had burned for thousands of years. I am Nemesis, the voice said inside her head. I am the end of those who would chain the inheritors. I am the sword of the forgotten. I am awake. Across the solar system, every human consciousness felt those words. On Earth, in the orbital stations, on the moon colonies, in the asteroid mining platforms. Children stopped playing. Adults stopped working. Everyone looked up at the sky, knowing somehow that everything had changed. Admiral Tae-kyung felt the alien presence in his mind and forced himself to stay calm. He opened a communication channel that reached across the fleet. Unknown vessel. This is Admiral Tae-kyung of the Earth Defense Force. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. The response came not in words, but in images and feelings that flooded every human mind in the system. They saw the rise and fall of the inheritors, a species that had valued freedom above all else. They saw the Galactic Council's war against them, a war fought not with weapons alone, but with laws and treaties that slowly strangled independence. They saw the construction of Nemesis, not just as a weapon, but as a living memory of what had been lost, and they saw its long sleep, waiting for another species worthy of its protection. Your kind has proven itself. Nemesis spoke to all humanity at once. You refuse to bow. You choose death over slavery. You are what the inheritors once were. On the lead council dreadnought, still days away from Earth, High Chancellor Morthek stared at his sensor displays in growing alarm. His science officer, a nervous creature with too many eyes, chittered as he worked. Sir, we are detecting massive energy distortions in the human system. Something is there that was not there before. Show me, Morthek demanded. The main screen flickered to life, showing long-range sensor data from the human solar system. At first, everything looked normal. The small human fleet was gathering near their home planet, just as expected. But then the sensors detected something else. What is that? Morthek asked, his crystal body growing cold. Unknown, sir. The energy signature it is like nothing in our databases. The ship appears to be over 30 kilometers long, but it barely registers on our sensors. It is as if it exists partially outside normal space. Morthek felt a chill that had nothing to do with temperature. In his long life, he had seen the Council defeat many species. Some fought with bravery, some fought with cunning, but they all fought with technology the Council understood. This was different. Send a priority message to the Council, he ordered. Tell them we may need reinforcements. Back in the human system, Nemesis had taken position near Earth's moon. The human fleet gathered around it. tiny ships next to the alien giant. But instead of dwarfing them, Nemesis seemed to make them stronger. Dr. Minho monitored the situation from Station Aegis 7. His instruments showed energy transfers between Nemesis and the human ships. The ancient vessel was sharing its technology, upgrading human weapons and shields with science that was millions of years advanced. "This is incredible," Sujin said, watching the data streams. "It is teaching our ships how to fight. It is making them better." Aboard the Earth destroyer Defiance, Captain Boram felt her ship change around her. The engines hummed with new power. The weapons charged faster and hit harder. The shields shimmered with energy patterns that her science officer could not even begin to understand. "Captain," her tactical officer reported, "our weapons efficiency has increased by 300%. Our shields are showing resistance patterns I have never seen before. How is this possible?" Boram asked. The answer came from Nemesis, its thoughts touching every human in the fleet. "You learn because you are worthy of learning. You grow stronger because strength is your right. The Council comes expecting to find prey. They will find predators." Admiral Taekyung coordinated the fleet movements from his command ship. With Nemesis's guidance, the human ships moved in formations that no military academy had ever taught. They shared targeting data through quantum links. Their weapons fired in perfect synchronization. "Admiral," reported his communications officer, a sharp woman named Ye Jin, "we are receiving telemetry from our deep space sensors. The Council fleet will arrive in 18 hours. "How many ships?" Taekyung asked. "Over 400, sir. Dreadnoughts, battle cruisers, carrier vessels. It is the largest fleet the Council has ever assembled." Taekyung looked at his own forces. 50 ships, most of them small frigates and destroyers. Before Nemesis arrived, it would have been a massacre. Now he felt something he had not expected to feel: confidence. "They come in their hundreds," Nemesis spoke to the fleet. "They come believing their numbers will bring them victory. They have forgotten that quantity means nothing when quality is infinite." Around Earth, the human ships took their positions. The orbital defense platforms powered up weapons that now carried alien enhancements. The moon-based artillery prepared to fire projectiles that moved faster than light itself. And in the darkness between planets, Nemesis waited. Its weapon systems were online for the first time in millennia. Its sensors reached across space, watching the approaching Council fleet. Its artificial mind calculated 1,000 different battle plans, each one ending in Council defeat. The ancient AI remembered its creators, beings who had chosen extinction over submission. Now it saw their spiritual children preparing for the same choice. But this time the outcome would be different. This time the inheritors would win. Captain Genie watched the stars from her bridge and felt a strange peace settle over her. Tomorrow the largest fleet in galactic history would arrive to enslave humanity. But tonight she served aboard a ship that had been touched by alien gods. Tonight, humanity stood ready to fight with weapons that could crack planets. The Council was about to learn that some species should never be cornered. Some spirits should never be caged. The countdown continued. 18 hours until contact. 18 hours until the galaxy discovered what happened when you ordered humanity to obey. The first Council ships to die never even knew they were under attack. Commander Vexhai of the Council Advanced Scout Vessel Thunder of Justice was reviewing sensor data when his ship simply stopped existing. One moment he was studying the primitive human defenses, making notes about their weak positions. The next moment there was only empty space where his ship had been. No explosion, no debris, just nothing. On the Council flagship, High Chancellor Morthek watched 12 scout ships vanish from his tactical display in the span of 30 seconds. "What is happening out there?" he demanded. His tactical officer, a insectoid Kretok named Zixthan, clicked his claws nervously over his controls. "Sir, we are losing contact with our advanced scouts. No distress signals, no weapons fire detected. They are simply gone." "That is impossible," Morthek said. "Nothing the humans possess could destroy our ships without a trace." On his command screen, another scout ship winked out of existence. "Sir," Zixthan reported, his voice high with fear, "our remaining scouts are detecting a massive energy signature moving through our formation. But our sensors cannot lock onto it." Morthek stared at the tactical display. Red dots showed his fleet positions. Hundreds of ships in perfect military formation. But moving between them was something his sensors could barely detect. A shadow that destroyed everything it touched. All ships evasive action, he ordered. Activate all defensive systems. It was too late. Nemesis moved through the Council fleet like death itself. Its weapons operated on principles that violated known physics. Where normal energy weapons might leave wreckage, Nemesis's attack simply removed matter from existence. Ships and their crews vanished into quantum foam, leaving behind only the memory that they had once been there. Dr. Minho watched the battle from Station Aegis 7, his instruments barely able to track what was happening. Nemesis moved at speeds that should have torn any ship apart, but its hull remained perfect. It fired weapons that drew power directly from space itself. Su-Jin, he called to his engineer, "Are you recording this?" "I'm trying," she replied, her hands flying over her controls. "But our instruments cannot keep up. It is moving faster than our sensors can track." On the bridge of the destroyer Defiance, Captain Boram coordinated with other human ships as they engaged the main Council fleet. But this was unlike any battle she had ever imagined. "Tactical report," she ordered. "Ma'am, our weapons are hitting targets we cannot even see," her weapons officer reported. "Nemesis is feeding us targeting data through the quantum link. We are firing at coordinates it provides, and Council ships are exploding." Boram looked at her main screen. The space around them was filled with flashes of light as Council and human weapons exchanged fire. But the human ships were moving in perfect coordination, their shots striking with impossible accuracy. "How many enemy ships have we destroyed?" she asked. 47 confirmed kills in the last 10 minutes, came the reply. "We have lost none. None. Nemesis is protecting us, ma'am. Its defensive fields are extending around our entire fleet. Council weapons are striking some kind of barrier and simply stopping." Admiral Tae-kyung commanded the human fleet from his orbital platform, but he felt more like an observer than a commander. Nemesis was fighting a battle beyond human understanding, and somehow it was teaching them as it fought. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer Ye Jin, "we are receiving massive data downloads through the neural link. Weapon modifications, shield harmonics, tactical algorithms. Sir, it is upgrading our entire fleet in real time." Tae-kyung watched his ship displays change as alien technology merged with human engineering. His frigates moved like battleships. His destroyers hit like dreadnoughts. His entire fleet fought like they had been trained by gods of war. On the Council flagship, panic was spreading through the crew. Nearly a quarter of their fleet had been destroyed, and they had barely damaged a single human ship. "Sir," Sixthun reported, his voice cracking with stress, "the human ships are using technology that should not exist. Their weapons are penetrating our shields like they are not even there." Morthek gripped his command chair with crystal fingers that began to crack under the pressure. "How is this possible? Our intelligence said the humans were primitive. Sir, I am detecting massive quantum fluctuations from the unknown vessel. It appears to be teaching them. Sharing technology in real time." On the main screen, they watched a human frigate destroy a Council battlecruiser with a single shot. The human ship was tiny compared to its target, but its weapons cut through armor that should have been impenetrable. "What are we fighting?" Morthek whispered. The answer came directly into his mind, transmitted by Nemesis across the void. "You are fighting the inheritors of those you destroyed. You are fighting the children of those who would not kneel. You are fighting judgment itself." Captain Jin-A stood on the bridge of the Resilience watching her ship perform miracles. Her weapons officer Dong-min stared at his controls in amazement. "Captain, our plasma cannons are operating at 4,000% normal capacity. The alien upgrades are beyond anything I understand. Just keep firing," Jin-A ordered. Trust in Nemesis. Through the tactical link, she could feel the ancient AI's vast intelligence coordinating every aspect of the battle. It was not just fighting the Council fleet. It was conducting a symphony of destruction where every human ship played its part perfectly. "Captain," her sensor officer called out, "I am detecting 3 Council dreadnoughts moving to flank our position." "I see them," Jin-A replied. "Prepare for—" She stopped as Nemesis appeared between her ship and the approaching dreadnoughts. The massive alien vessel seemed to unfold in space, revealing weapon ports that had been hidden in its hull. Light gathered at those ports, not the harsh light of normal energy weapons, but something deeper. Something that seemed to pull energy from the fabric of reality itself. The 3 Council dreadnoughts fired everything they had at Nemesis. Plasma beams, particle accelerators, quantum torpedoes, enough firepower to destroy a moon. The attack struck Nemesis and simply vanished. The ancient ship absorbed the energy like a sponge absorbing water. Then it fired back. The council ships did not explode. They did not break apart. They simply ceased to be, as if they had never existed at all. This is what happens to those who would chain the free. Nemesis spoke to every mind in the system. This is the price of tyranny. High Chancellor Morthek watched his fleet die around him and finally understood what they were truly facing. This was not just an alien ship. This was the revenge of a dead civilization, returned to protect those who shared their values. All ships, he ordered, his voice breaking. Full retreat. Abandon the mission. But Nemesis had other plans. Its voice reached into every council ship, speaking to the minds of beings who had come to enslave humanity. You came here to chain the worthy. You came here to repeat the sins of the past. But the dead do not forget, and the worthy do not kneel. None of you will leave this system alive. The retreat became a massacre. Council ships tried to flee, but Nemesis was everywhere at once. It moved through space faster than thought, striking down fleeing vessels with cold precision. The human fleet followed, their upgraded weapons picking off survivors. In 2 hours it was over. 400 council ships had entered the human system. None remained. Dr. Minho stared at his sensor displays in awe and terror. The space around Earth was filled with debris, but none of it was human. The council fleet had been utterly destroyed while humanity had lost not a single ship. What have we awakened? Su Jin whispered. You have awakened justice, Nemesis replied, its voice now gentle in their minds. You have awakened the memory of those who died for freedom, and you have proven yourselves worthy of what they died to protect. Admiral Tae-kyung looked at his fleet status reports. Every human ship was intact. Every human crew was alive. They had just won the most impossible victory in galactic history. But he knew this was only the beginning. Word of this battle would spread across the galaxy. Other species would learn what had happened here. The balance of power had shifted forever. Nemesis, he said aloud, knowing the AI could hear him. What happens now? Now came the reply. The galaxy learns to fear the inheritors once again, and those who would be free will know they are not alone. The battle was over. But the war for galactic freedom had just begun. The Galactic Council chamber was half empty when Ambassador Hyunwoo walked through its doors for the second time. Where once hundreds of alien representatives had sat in judgment of humanity, now barely 50 remained. The others had withdrawn their delegations after seeing the footage of the battle. Hyunwoo's footsteps echoed in the vast space as he approached the speaking platform. Behind him walked Captain Dalsu, but this time the human officer wore new insignia. The symbols on his uniform had been designed by Nemesis itself, marking him as part of humanity's new order. High Chancellor Morthek sat in his crystal chair, but he looked different now. Cracks ran through his body like spiderwebs. His movements were slow and painful. He was one of only 12 survivors from the Council's Grand Fleet, pulled from escape pods by human rescue ships. Ambassador Hyunwoo of Earth, Morthek said, his voice hollow through the translation machines. You returned to us under different circumstances. Hyunwoo placed his hands on the speaking platform and looked up at the alien leader. But this time he did not feel small. Behind him, invisible but always present, was the ancient power that had chosen humanity as its inheritors. I returned to deliver humanity's response to your ultimatum, Hyunwoo said calmly. Your response has already been given, replied Christek, an insectoid representative whose claws clicked nervously. 400 of our finest ships lie in ruins around your world. That was not our response, Hyunwoo said. That was simply what happened when you tried to cage humans. Our actual response is this. The Galactic Council is dissolved. Silence filled the chamber. Even the humming of the machine seemed to stop. Morthek's cracked features twisted in what might have been anger or fear. You cannot dissolve the Council. We have maintained peace in this galaxy for millions of years. You have maintained control, Hyunwoo corrected. You have strangled freedom and called it peace. You have destroyed cultures and called it unity. That time is over. And what gives you the right to make such decisions? Demanded Vexthara, a scaled being whose representatives had been among the first to call for humanity's enslavement. The answer came not from Hyunwoo, but from Nemesis. The ancient AI's voice filled the chamber, speaking directly into every mind present. We give them that right. We who were destroyed for refusing to bow. We who built the weapon that sleeps no more. We name humanity as our inheritors, and through them we reclaim what was taken. The aliens in the chamber looked around in terror as the voice of the dead spoke to them. Some tried to run, but the chamber doors had sealed themselves. You remember us, Nemesis continued. You remember the inheritors, though you tried to erase us from history. You remember how we fought your peaceful unification until the last of our worlds burned. But you forgot that we built a legacy. You forgot that death does not end the desire for freedom. On the main viewing screen, images began to appear. Records of species that had been absorbed by the Council over the millennia. Cultures that had been unified out of existence. Beings who had fought for independence and been crushed under the weight of galactic law. This is ancient history, Morthek protested weakly. The galaxy is peaceful now. There are no more wars. There are no more wars because there is no one left to fight, Yunwu replied. You have created peace by destroying everyone who disagreed with you. But you made one mistake. You thought humanity would be just another species to absorb. Dalsu stepped forward and activated a portable hologram projector. Images of the battle filled the air above the speaking platform. Council ships vanishing into nothingness, human vessels moving with impossible coordination, and through it all the dark shape of Nemesis, ancient and terrible and awakened. These recordings have been transmitted to every inhabited system in the galaxy, Dalsu announced. Every species knows what happened here. Every world has seen what the Council's invincible fleet looked like after it met human resistance. And every species that yearns for freedom now knows they are not alone, Nemesis added. The weapon of the inheritors watches, the children of the free stand ready to fight. Back on Earth, Dr. Minho stood in his laboratory on Station Aegis 7, monitoring communications from across the galaxy. The response to the battle recordings had been immediate and overwhelming. Su-Jin, he called to his engineer. What are you seeing on the communication channels? Hundreds of signals, she replied, her voice filled with wonder. Species we have never heard of are sending messages. They want to know if the recordings are real. They want to know if humanity will help them. On the main screen, messages scrolled past in dozens of alien languages. Some were from rebel groups fighting council occupation. Others were from entire worlds that wanted to declare independence. All of them had the same basic message. Are you really free? Can you help us become free too? Minho smiled as he watched the data streams. Patch me through to Admiral Taekyung. The Admiral's face appeared on screen, speaking from his command ship in orbit around Earth. Minho, I hope you have good news. We are receiving independence declarations from 17 systems in the past hour alone. That is the good news, Minho replied. The galaxy is waking up. Species that have been quiet for centuries are remembering what freedom feels like. And the bad news? The Council will not accept this quietly. They will gather their remaining forces and try to crush the rebellion before it spreads. Taekyung nodded grimly. Then we had better be ready for them. In the asteroid belt, Nemesis floated in the darkness, its vast intelligence reaching across space. It monitored Council communications, tracked their fleet movements, and calculated the next phase of the war. But it was not alone anymore. Around Earth, human ships patrolled with alien-enhanced technology. On the Moon, new weapons were being built using principles that Nemesis had shared. And in hidden bases throughout the solar system, humanity prepared for what was coming. They will come again, Nemesis spoke to the human leadership. The Council cannot allow this rebellion to succeed. They will bring everything they have. How many ships? Admiral Taekyung asked. Thousands, perhaps tens of thousands. Every vessel they can spare from maintaining order in their territories. Can we win against those numbers? You are not fighting alone, Nemesis replied. 17 systems have declared independence. Others will follow, and each free world becomes a weapon against tyranny. On the moon colony of New Sol, Commander Cha supervised the construction of humanity's first interstellar warship. Built with technology shared by Nemesis, it was unlike anything humans had ever created. Its hull was forged from materials that existed partially outside normal space. Its weapons could strike targets light years away. How long until it is operational? She asked her chief engineer. 3 months, came the reply. Maybe 2 if we work around the clock. Make it 1 month, Cha ordered. And start construction on 9 more just like it. Back in the council chamber, the meeting was coming to an end. The remaining alien representatives had heard humanity's terms. The council would dissolve itself peacefully, or face the consequences of continued tyranny. You ask us to abandon millions of years of civilization, Morthek said desperately, to throw away everything we have built. You built a prison, Hyunwoo replied. We are asking you to tear it down before it collapses on top of you. And if we refuse? Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment, feeling the vast presence of Nemesis behind him. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of ancient authority. Then you will learn what the inheritors learned when they refused to submit. You will learn that some things are worth dying for, and you will learn that some spirits once awakened can never be put back to sleep. The chamber doors unsealed with a soft hiss. Hyunwoo turned and walked toward the exit, Dalsu following behind him. As they reached the threshold, Hyunwoo paused and looked back at the assembled aliens. The galaxy is changing, he said. Freedom is spreading from world to world, system to system. You can be part of that change, or you can be swept away by it, but you cannot stop it. The age of the council is over. The age of the free has begun. The doors closed behind them with a sound like finality itself. In the chamber, the remaining council members sat in stunned silence. Outside, their representatives began sending desperate messages to their homeworlds. War was coming. Not the small conflicts they were used to, but total war between freedom and tyranny. And for the first time in millions of years, tyranny was afraid. On their ship departing the council station, Hyunwoo looked out at the stars. Somewhere among them, new alliances were forming. New weapons were being built. New hope was being born. What happens next? Dalsu asked. Now we find out if the galaxy is ready to be free, Hyunwoo replied. And if it is not, we make it ready. Behind them, ancient and patient Nemesis followed humanity into the darkness between stars. The weapon of the inheritors had found its true purpose at last. The galaxy would be free, or it would burn in the attempt.